How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the model train layout. Today we're going to be diving into a video of how I create roadways on my model train layout. Specifically today we're going to be making a side street. Now there's many different ways that you can create roadways on an HO scale layout and any layout. However, this is the way that I do it. It may not work best for everybody, but this is the best way I found to do it. So without further ado, let's get started. So what I'm doing first here is just simply marking where I want my road to be. To do this, I'm just using a ruler as a straight edge and a regular pencil. Now for this particular road, I'm not measuring any sort of exact width or size of the road. I'm just going to eyeball it in this exact situation like I'm doing here. I'm gonna do that to both sides. For the road to the left of your screen, I did do that only because I wanted it to be a little more exact because I have industries to fit around it. But for this specific road, I didn't see any need for it to be an exact measurement. So unfortunately, I did have to remove the sidewalk for this part of the road and on the layout. And if you didn't watch my sidewalk video from last week, it would be great if you could do that. Basically, we just make it out of balsa wood. I'll leave the link in the description below. But unfortunately, I did have to remove a chunk of the sidewalk here in order to get the road through. But with this hobby, mistakes are a learning experience, and that's something I'll do differently next time. So I'm going to be using this pop dot tape that I got at the Dollar Tree. This is a good alternative for Woodland Scenics tape, and the best part is it's only $1.25 at your local dollar store. So I'm going to cut this out of the box, and I'm going to cut it down to size for my paving, and this will kind of guide me along, similar to painter's tape. Painter's tape or masking tape also works. I've just found that this stuff works a little better because it is a thicker barrier between where you don't want the plaster to be and where you do want the plaster to be. And we're ready to go. So let's get to paving. Now this part is a little bit time consuming and you do have to have a little bit of patience with this stuff. What I use is Dry Deck Spackle from Walmart. You can get it just in the hardware section near all the paints and stuff, and it's fairly cheap. It's about $8 per bucket, and you do get a decent amount of it. the stuff does go a long way. So basically I just take it out of the container with the small putting knife, and then with the large spatula I do spread it around. Having a larger spatula does make this process a little bit easier than with a small one, but like I said, this is pretty time consuming, so a lot of patience is needed with this part of the build. So as you can see, I did get a little bit of extra around the surrounding areas, but I'm not too worried about that because I can go back and touch it up. So after waiting 24 hours for it to dry completely to the touch, I then sand it. I use a 220 grit sandpaper. If you use anything else, you may damage the road and rip it up a bit, which I have found in the past. But the sanding process does take a few minutes. You want to get it as smooth as possible for when you put your road lines down, and it looks a lot better. You can leave little imperfections. I like to on these side streets to represent potholes or cracks in the road. But typically speaking, I do like to sand it as much as I can, only so I can get lines on there in the future. And excuse the train going by there in the background. So as you can tell, you're going to want to vacuum nearby. So I just shop vac the remnants and debris up, and we're ready to go again. And we can now start the painting process. So I first just mask off the areas that I don't want paint on. Now I know this is just bare plywood, but it does eliminate some extra work that you have to do later on, and it just does look nicer and neater. So I'm masking this off with just simple blue painter's tape. Masking tape would work, however, you do have a chance with masking tape of ripping up some of that new spackle that you just put down. So I like to use just this blue painter's tape. You can also get this at Walmart or any hardware store. and it's time to paint. I'll be using the same country gray color that I use for the sidewalks. So I just simply paint this on. I needed 2 coats in order for it to completely cover all the white. You don't typically want all that white in there, so I did need 2 coats, so I went back later on and added another coat, and you'll see that at the end of the video that it looks pretty nice. In this specific video, we're not going to be going over the tracks because that is pretty time consuming. We're going to save that for another video. But if you were to go over the tracks, you would want to mask off your rails as well, or scrape the paint off afterwards, because that would damage your rails and not allow your trains to run through smoothly. I then go back with the pavement colored paint that I used to paint this road to just touch up that white spot so it blends in a little better. Once it's dried, you can't even tell it was there. Now, these acrylic paints I do get at Walmart, as I mentioned in my last video. They're 54 cents each, and they make great model railroad paints in my opinion. And like I said, the best part is that they're extremely cheap and affordable, so you can stock up on a lot of them at a time. For the road, I use pavement color, and for the side road, I'm using country gray, and for the sidewalk, I also use country gray. I may go back at some point to the sidewalk and make it a little bit of a lighter color so it doesn't match the side road. We'll save that for a future video. Now to remove the tape. Be careful when removing the tape not to peel any of the paint you just applied off of the road. So do it nice and slowly, and you're going to want to have a trash can nearby because this stuff does get pretty wet and messy. So we're going to peel that off, and that reveals our nice clean road. And then go back with the country gray color and just carefully paint that white gap where the tape was. Now, the reason the tape was there was to mask off the road so that the colors did not mix too much. And as you can see, the mixture did turn out pretty perfectly here. So I'm just going back and touching that up so that we get rid of the white. And here's our finished product. As you can see, I did go back and touch up all the spots with the extra spackle. I'm not too worried about the spackle on the tracks because we are going to pave over that eventually, but we're going to save that for a future video. I also went back, added the sidewalks back. I got to paint those yet, and added 2 cross bucks to the crossing. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know how you make your roads in the comments, and I hope this can help you make yours. And happy railroading. I'll see you guys in the next one.